Negotiation is a critical skill. We use it every day. People negotiate because you have something that they want. And if you can't figure out what that is, you have no basis for negotiation. You never want to negotiate about one issue. What you want to do is create packages. Be very clear about the things that you absolutely need, but be very flexible.
Coming up on New England Business Day, finding a place at the table. Advice for women business leaders looking to break through.
Women hold less than 1% of top leadership positions in the U.S. But there are ways that women can find a place at the table, according to Simmons School of Management professor Deborah Kolb. She met with high-level businesswomen in Boston this morning.
What we say is that when you take on a leadership role, you need to negotiate the conditions for your own success. We call it asking for a yes and. Yes, I'm doing this and here's what I need. One of the things you need are those swing people who, you know, in the first 3 months of a role, people aren't really sure, are you going to succeed or not? You want them to focus on what you bring, not what you lack. Swing people can spread those stories. Right. Make a difference is a big thing. You know, it's not just making a difference in what you do for yourself and for your company, but that you also claim the value that you bring so people really do see that you've made a difference. What we know is for women, positional power doesn't necessarily translate into legitimate power. Being a good negotiator is really an indicator of your leadership potential. But this idea that you challenge the process, that you don't just go along to get along, is seen as something we value. You set your aspirations low, that's what happens. I think sometimes we really own the fact that at the end of the day, everybody has to feel good. I think there's nothing wrong with that as long as it's shared. So I think sometimes we confuse connection with accommodation, and we feel like in order to preserve a relationship, we're the ones that have to make the accommodation.
Recognizing negotiation means asking yourself, at what price, what would make you say yes? That if you're not in a good position, if you don't experience yourself in a good position, you don't feel empowered to negotiate, you won't. How do people like to hear things? Do they like you to give them a problem that you can solve together? Do they like multiple proposals? Do they want to hear the problem now and come back to you with something? If you know what you know about the people that you're dealing with, it makes it easier to engage them in the negotiation. The person you're negotiating with uses what I call strategic moves that can have the effect of putting you in a down position. They can criticize your style, your competence, demean your ideas, appeal for support. Flattery is a big one. They can even threaten you. The more ambitious you think you want to negotiate, the more likely it is that those kinds of challenges are going to happen. So I want to give you an example from a performance review, because that's a nice place, which I think of a negotiation. So let's eavesdrop on Rosalie. Rosalie is a marketing executive who's had a great year. In fact, in her performance review, on a scale of 5, she got greatly exceeded expectations. She's just a little bit below that 5. So I want you to, this is actually a caricature, but I want you to listen to it. This is Rosalie's review. So Rosalie gets in with her boss, whose name is James. And she says, I hope you had time to read my summary about what I've accomplished this year. And he says, I only got a chance to skim it. It seems like an average year. Okay? What's he trying to do? Diminish her expectations, right? Challenge your confidence. She says, I don't think so. We accomplished more this year than any other group. He says, oh, but you didn't do it alone. Again, challenges her confidence. I'm not claiming I did, she says. He says, don't overreact, you take things too personally, right? Challenges her style. This is not a situation that is geared for Rosalie to advocate for what she wants. What's happening is she's getting put in a down position. And when people don't want to give you what you want, they often do this. They say the kinds of things that they know are going to get you. So let me read you another stylized version of what Rosalie could do using turns. So she says, I hope you had time to read the summary. He says it's an average year. She says, she could say, that's interesting. What do you define as an excellent year? That's a diverting it. Or she could name it. Smiling, she could say, looks like you're trying to lower my expectations, which of course is exactly what he's trying to do. Turning these moves enables you to stay in the negotiation, and I know exactly what you're going to say. I always think of those things the minute I leave the room. I think negotiation isn't a panacea for sure, but it can help you in taking up opportunities, negotiating for clients, for resources, for compensation, for access that you might need, and even for balance in work and personal life. So the first principle is recognizing negotiation opportunities. And any time you take on a new role or responsibility, that's an opportunity. What's going to make you successful? What do you need to be able to do it? Well, it's been a pleasure. If you have questions you want to ask me, I'll be at the reception.